makes a great team?
The greatest moment of your life, you'll never forget it. They could never take it away.
A great coach?
And Pat Riley is fit to be tied down there in front of the Miami bench.
Complex strategic planning? Plain old domination of the competition? Well, that's certainly part of the equation. But truly great teams are a testament to the power of people. People working together in common cause for something bigger than the sum of the parts. Business is the same way. Teamwork is key. But to achieve it, you have to have something powerful. Something that unifies. Something that says we're different. We're special. We're on a mission. It's what you stand for, your beliefs. Beliefs that have withstood the test of time through depression, war, economic cycles, and competitive threats. For Alaska Airlines, those beliefs, manifested in day-to-day actions, have produced a long list of aviation milestones and countless stories of people going out of their way to help other people. The common thread through these last 6.5 decades is a unique blend of spirit, resourcefulness, integrity, professionalism, and caring. In short, beliefs shared individually and collectively. When the going gets particularly tough, those beliefs are like a compass. No matter how turbulent the environment, you know where you're going. The last 5 of Alaska's storied 65-year history offer the perfect illustration. 1992. Alaska was just coming off its 19th consecutive year of profitability and on its way to a 4th straight best U.S. airline rating from Condé Nast Traveler. But there was little reason to smile. The winds of change that had been blowing for more than a year were now transforming the industry in fundamental ways. The new name of the game, low fares. And Alaska Airlines, whose high-cost, high-yield business plan had served to differentiate it so well for so long, was in a fight for its life. As CEO Ray Vecchi said at the time, Alaska had to do nothing less than completely reshape itself to bring its cost structure in line with low-fare carriers. The challenge, of course, was to do that while still maintaining that traditional edge in customer service.
We loved them dearly, but getting rid of the 727s had to be done. Well, they were just too expensive to operate.
You know, we really boosted aircraft utilization from about 8 hours a day per aircraft all the way up to over 11 hours. That's impressive.
Technology has played a big part. Instant travel is probably the most visible example, but we're using technology to work smarter all over the company.
The changes have been so big. I mean, we went from being a high-cost to high-fare carrier to being a low-cost, low-fare carrier, and we did it virtually overnight. Did it faster than anyone has ever done in the airline business before, and more dramatically. So yeah, there have been big changes, but there's been one thing that hasn't changed, and never will change as far as I'm concerned. That is, Alaska Airlines has always differentiated itself based on service. The product that we put out there compared to our competitors' product. And quite frankly, that product differentiation, that comparison has never been greater than it is today. Never been greater than it is today.
extracting more than $100 million in permanent annual operating expenses. Alaska's people, in big ways and small, transformed their airline to not only compete, but thrive in the low-fare environment.
And you know what? Even as a low-fare carrier, we continue to win every award there is to be won. Every award out there, Alaska Airlines scores #1 or #1 major carrier. It's really heartwarming to see the change that we've had to go through, and yet the ability to continue to register with our customers as being #1. The secret's easy. It's our people. Always has been, always will be. It's that unique Alaska spirit that sets Alaska apart.
That's been part of the airline since day one, back in 1932 when McGee saw an opportunity, starting up an airline in the midst of the Depression in America's hinterlands. Some folks said he was foolish. Undaunted, Mac went to San Francisco, bought a 3-seat Stinson, shipped it north, and McGee Airways was born. Flying in those days wasn't scheduled. You flew when the plane was full, be it passengers, furs, or groceries. Finances were tight, but perseverance ruled the day. It wasn't uncommon for Mac and his team to work round the clock, even though the next paycheck might be weeks away. Mac merged with Star Air Service in 1934, creating the largest airline in Alaska. After several more mergers, the name was changed a couple of times, until in 1944, they found one that stuck. By the late 1940s, using surplus military aircraft, Alaska had branched into worldwide charter work. Said one observer, its planes were like tramp steamers, hauling anything, anywhere, from Africa to China, Italy to Australia. In 1948, Alaska flew 87 missions from New York to Germany as part of the Berlin airlift. A year later, the airline tackled its most daunting task, transporting Yemenite Jews separated from their homeland for centuries back to Israel. Moved 2,000 people, the airline was told. But when Alaska's pilots, flight attendants, and mechanics got to Africa, they learned the real story. It was 40,000 refugees, not 2,000. To Alaska crews, the rugged terrain and harsh weather were nothing new, but dodging bullets was an unexpected element. Israel was under periodic siege, and planes flying over Arab-held lands were certain to be shot down. The logistical challenges were almost mind-boggling, but when all was said and done, Operation Magic Carpet transported them all safely home. Now there were bullets to dodge back home. The airline was in a financial tailspin. But this was Alaska Airlines. It had been snowed in, iced out, held down, even shot at, but nothing could shut it down. By the late 1950s, with the help of the Civil Aeronautics Board, Alaska's far-flung charters were a thing of the past, and its precarious financial outlook was improving. That's when Charlie Willis was brought on board. A born salesman, he had just the right blend of imagination and can-do spirit. Competition, while regulated, was fierce, so survival hinged on differentiating yourself. It was time to turn loose the marketing creativity. From its first jet, a Convair 880, to its Golden Nugget service, the airline did it all in grand style.
So you've reached the end, my flying friend of all you think is new. Well, you should be aware that Alaska Air has a grand surprise for you. Our whole new look is from the book that gave the 90s glory. From stem to stern, from the century's turn, it's like a gold rush picture story. Alaska Air has taken care with its new gold rush decor. When you step aboard, it's as though you soared through an 1890 door. It's old, yet new. It's fun clear through. So soar to a grand new height. and forget each care with Alaska Air on the Golden Nugget flight.
In the late 1960s, Alaska strengthened its operating base by merging with Alaska Coastal Ellis and Cordova Airlines, legendary carriers owned by aviation pioneers Shel Simmons, Bob Ellis, and Mudhole Smith. Alaska's world now stretched from Fairbanks south to Ketchikan, down to Seattle, and, for a time, Portland, too. In some of the coldest days of the Cold War, Alaska made headlines with regular charters to the Soviet Union. Once again, all the stops came out.
Alaska Airlines' new Golden Samovar service, yours for the price of a ticket.
But when the party was over, it was really over. Alaska was near bankruptcy. When Ron Cosgrave and Bruce Kennedy came on board in '72, the company was $22 million in the hole. It was time to get down to business. The first order of business was to win back the trust of their creditors, especially the oil companies. It was also about people. We had to get people working together, Cosgrave said, and we needed to set goals. That was just the start.
We had to clean up our act, all of us, from the ground crew up to the corporate executives. People were calling us Alaska Airlines because our schedules were so rubbery. That was the first thing. We had to start being reliable. Ben Beneke really led the employee team that got flights on time, and Cosgrave got everyone working together.
Customer service became key. And it was paying off. Just 3 years after being on the verge of bankruptcy, Alaska Airlines made over $4 million. One break that went their way was the construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. Carrying supplies, equipment, and workers gave Alaska a shot in the arm. The company was up and running again. Satisfied that Alaska was on sound financial ground, Cosgrave passed the reins to Kennedy. Then it happened. In 1979, the airlines were deregulated. For a lot of them, this was the end of the road. For Alaska, it was a new beginning.
And food.
Munchy time.
It's hard to swallow.
This is it.
What's next?
I'd appreciate it. Do you have 4 quarters for $1? Anybody have 2 quarters for $1? Yes, miss, do you have 2 quarters for $2? 2 quarters for $5, please? Yes.
Next trip, fly Alaska Airlines, because we're not comfortable with a flight until you are.
2 spirited airlines, with the same commitment to service excellence, joined the family, strengthening Alaska's presence throughout the West. By the end of the 80s, Alaska had tripled in size. Its fleet increased 5-fold. And service spread to 3 times as many cities, including its first scheduled international routes. When you look back, you realize things haven't changed that much. Alaska is still differentiating itself, doing things with style, going the extra mile, and rising to the occasion in the face of adversity. Every time the history of commercial aviation is written, People ask how an obscure little airline in America's hinterland has continued to survive and thrive while once proud giants disappeared. Grit and determination will be part of the answer. But more than that, it's the people. Their spirit, their resourcefulness, their integrity, their professionalism, and their caring. The things that make Alaska the last great airline.
Captain and crew enjoyed having you on this Golden Nugget ride. To our flying friends whose traveling ends in historic Sitka Fair, our Gold Rush crew says goodbye to you. Fly again with Alaska.